notification volume 0%. Good afternoon, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eye. I'm your host, Blind Prime, and for today we've got a double feature. Usually the More Than Meets the Eyes on Mondays I devote to some sort of action figure, usually G.I. Joe Classified, and then Tuesday is a More Than Meets the Eye on the Transformer, Wednesday is the Blindformers, and Thursday is another More Than Meets the Eye, and Friday is set off to the side in case I have another More Than Meets the Eye. Or something special like when I get the occasional Power Rangers from my friend Dragon Shirt. Now, here is the uniqueness of this one. This is the G.I. Joe G.I. Joe crossover of Transformers. Now, this is something I've been wanting for a long, long time, and I'm only upset that we didn't get the Hiss. What was it? The Hiss 2 or the Hiss 4? Which is the Hiss tank that pops up and then it has that little cool canopy thing where a couple of drivers can sit in, and it like pops up to be taller than everything else. It's a really cool tank. Anyway, in G.I. Joe versus Transformers, the comic book, Optimus Prime was turned into that type of Hiss tank, and that was something really cool. And it kind of sucks we didn't get that. Instead, we do get this Bumblebee who turns into a. Don't worry, on the video day, I cover the video. I'm going to remember the vehicle day where I cover this guy's vehicle mode. I'll remember what in the world this thing's supposed to be called. But it's a four-wheeler like dune buggy thing. And Bumblebee here becomes. But we'll talk about that on that day. I just wanted to mention, like, this is something that as a fan, I've wanted some Transformers that turn into G.I. Joe vehicles. I don't know why they haven't done it before. And from what I hear, the Megatron's kind of bad. And honestly, this guy is a little wonky, and we're going to get into that for this video. I have to say that this is a good attempt. This is a good approach, but just like 5 points better on the quality for next time, and it will be perfect. Like this is close. This is really close, but it's not there yet. So let's begin. First, I think we'll talk about Stalker. And funny enough, last week we talked about the twins, and then the week before that, I think we talked about Stalker. So, it's another Stalker. Here Stalker is. He comes with his, that gun that we talked about in the Classified episode that he actually had stored in his backpack. But this guy's gun, it feels like an M16 with a collapsible stock. Is just something that he has out. There is no place to store this weapon, sadly, and that is all the accessories he comes with. Now, he is a rubber band guy, so you can get the good old core rubber band motions from him, but that's basically it. It's articulation-wise, he's all right. You get 360-degree movement in the shoulder. The shoulder can also waggle up and down. You also get some bicep swivel going there. You get a single jointed elbow, but it only pulls a 90, and nothing about the arm actually twists or moves, and the hand is very stagnant. And the same is said for the other arm. The legs here. Excuse me, sorry. The legs here, get him off his little stand. They have good hip motion, what you would expect from those old G.I. Joes. Sadly, no double-jointed knee, just a single-jointed knee, and no sort of other articulation. There isn't even a thigh swivel going on with this guy. His legs are always going to be where his legs are always going to be. And that is it for articulation with him. But sculpt-wise, he's got some decent sculpt for his hands. Feels like they kind of went lax on the changeover from hand to shirt, or is his shirt rolled up? I can't really tell. The sculpt work doesn't really allow for that. It feels like the shirt may be rolled up, or he's wearing really, really long gloves. I don't know what's going on with these hands. It's a confusing mess. It feels, at least in my opinion, what I'm imagining is big yellow gloves like Dexter's mom used to wear. That's kind of what I'm feeling here, and I really don't know if I'm right or wrong on that one. Let me know in the comments below what that is. Sculpt-wise, going up here, he's got some sort of pocket on his shoulder. But that's it for sculpt on that arm. On the other arm, it's the same exact sculpt going all the way down from the pocket on the shoulder to the arms. The chest area is a little bland. It feels like he's wearing some body armor, and he's got a little strap on his side that feels like it may have a little knife or something in it. I don't know, but that's a strap. And come up here to his head. His head articulation is very minimal. He can look left about 45 degrees and right about 45 degrees. He can't look up. He can't look down. His head is very stagnant. His hat is not removable, and though the face sculpt on this guy is okay. It's all right. He's got a nose. He's got mouth. He's got eyes. He's got eyebrows, and then he's got his fedora that's all folded over. Why do they never give him helmets? I don't know. They just don't believe in helmets. I mean, good grief. You spend all this time and money, training up a soldier, and then you're not going to give him a helmet to ride in a dune buggy? Like you want your soldier that you spent all that money on to have a concussion and be unfit for duty? Yeah, just irresponsibility right there. Give him a helmet. Jesus Christ. Over to the back, we've got some sculpt work of the attachments for the bulletproof armor that he's wearing, I guess, the flak jacket. And coming down here to his waist, it's the typical old 80s and 90s Joe waist. There's not much special about that. Come down here to the leg, he's got some pockets on the sides, no type of holster or anything like that. And then you come over here to where the boots are tucked into where his pants are tucked into his boots, and that's pretty good little sculpt work right there. That's pretty nice. And then on the underside, he has no underside boot sculpting, sadly enough. But that is the Stalker. Now, I have Duke here from the Walmart Retro line, and I wanted to bring him out to do a nice little size comparison because it was my opinion that the Walmart Retro line was actually very good. And it is a shame that it fell apart. And I really wish I had gotten the Stalker from that line. Whenever I saw him, like there were a bunch of them. I'm like, crap, I should have just got that Stalker. So this guy from the line, he's got not the rubber band, but he does have some nice joint movement in the core. He does have the ability to look up and look down. He can look all sorts of all over the place with his head sculpt. He's got some nice body armor that you actually attach. His arm moves at 360 degrees, and then it moves up and down. He's also got he does have a bicep swivel, but it's really low on the bicep. And then he's got a hand swivel, but his hand is really stupid. I prefer the hand from Stalker to this guy's hand because it does feel like a rubbery glove, and it comes off very easy, which I don't think should happen. It really feels really annoying. Those hands do suck. And then his hat comes off. I put some sticky tack on there, and I'm going to put the hat back on. But his hat comes off, unlike Stalker's. I think that's cool. And then down here on the legs, he's got double jointed knees. Yeah, boy. And he did have, I think, double jointed. Nope, screwed that up. He doesn't have double jointed elbows, sadly, and his elbows really suck. But then you come down here to the pants that are tucked in with a lot better sculpt work, and you can do a boot swivel, which is neat. And he's got that. Does he have an upper thigh swivel? No, he does not. He just has a boot swivel. But then his boot does have some articulation. It can move forward and backward a little bit. And yeah, that's it for him. Oh, and on the underside, there is minimalistic sculpt on the underside. Before you ask the question, the reason that I have this big blood splatter coming off from his upper arm is because when I first got this Duke, his joint locked up, and I tried to, I moved it, and it just kind of broke. Like his entire arm just sheared off above the joint. It was wild. You can watch that video on my channel where Hasbro sent me an entire his tank to make up for it, but not a new Duke. Sadly enough, no new Duke. But I did get a new his tank. Okay, so that's Duke and Stalker. I just had Duke because I wanted to do a size comparison of, the 3.75s from Walmart had their problems, but at the end of the day, they were really nice figures. You set the Stalker there. Move these little stands off to the side. Look at these stands. I love these stands. I'm just going to say something about these stands. Why doesn't these stands ever come with the G.I. Joe classified figures? It's not much plastic, and it would work. You could just give us some stands. Heck, I use some of these stands for G.I. Joe classified figures because I think these little nubbins are about the right size. But I just wanted to say that. Hasbro, why don't you do that? G.I. Joe classified team, why don't you do that? Can you please do that? I'm begging you. Please, please do it. Okay, moving into Bumblebee here. Now, Bumblebee's got some nice articulation form compared to, his box mate's uh, Stalker. He's got 360-degree movement in his head. He's got some, decent movement in the shoulder. Though with the vehicle kibble, it is a bit difficult. He gets a 90-degree elbow, and there is a rotation at the bicep right above the elbow joint, and he can also raise his arm up pretty far due to transformation, and it would just rest down there. His hand has no other articulation points to it, though the gun that he comes with does have an articulation point in it, which is kind of nice. But that's that with that arm. The other arm is the same. Core-wise, he doesn't really have any articulation, but he can twist left and right. Just not 360 degree because of the kibble on his back. His hips, he can move them up pretty far, move them back decently, though the kibble on his back gets in the way. He can pull a 90 with each of his knee joints, and down here we've got no tilt. There's no toe tilt or anything going on with his feet, which are, of course, seats. I like the fact that they included feet to be seats. I just thought that one was fun. And there's the dashboard. There's the steering wheel just on his right foot. That's great. Um, Now let's talk sculpt work. This guy's got some excellent sculpt work on him. Like he's not too bland. He's got some armor work or sculpt work on his arms, where you can feel big armor panels that are put there. His hands do have decent sculpt work for hands, but they don't ever move. These are very. I mean, they do rotate. They have a 360-degree rotation. It's just very stiff. Um, Moving up to the shoulder, he's got this big wheel on his shoulder, which is part of his car kibble, but I don't mind it on his shoulder. It acts as sort of a buffer. And he got on his front area, he's got these little round symbol and some more bulky bits, armor bits. This guy feels like he is a weapon of war. Unlike other bumblebees, this one feels more warlike for sure. We come over here to his head. We get his head sculpt where he is wearing a mask. He is a masked bumblebee, but he does have a. Is he a masked bumblebee? I'm not sure if he's a masked bumblebee or not. Let me know, guys. Can't really get my finger in there to figure it out. But he does have some deep set eyes. The nose is nice. His helmet is very cool. Face sculpt wise, let's compare him to this guy. We got very similar heads going on here between the two. Like without a doubt, this is Bumblebee, but this is a different Bumblebee. But he does keep with this similar head sculpt. Now I'll move on down here to his thighs, and there's not much going on there. They didn't even give us a robot skirt, which is a shame. I don't mind the little skirts occasionally. It's nice. He has some motion, but this stupid roll bar thing on his back gets in the way a lot. But he does have side-to-side motion. We talked about all that. Sculpt-wise, the upper thighs are pretty bland. They usually make them bland. Down here, you get some big honking legs, lower legs. These things are thick, and they feel heavily armored. This guy can handle some brute force activity. He's even got some headlights on his knees, so he knows where he's walking. That's cool. And we come down here to the toes, and one of them has a little gun that the person in the passenger seat would use, and the other one's got a steering wheel. And then his toes kind of fold upwards because he's wearing desert shoes, I guess. That the toes go up so that the sand doesn't get in there. Uh, yeah, that's it for sculpt work on him. Now, we'll flip him around and look at this. Well, I guess we'll start talking about the things I like, dislike. So one of the dislikes on this guy is this big roll bar. Now, I don't mind the roll bar. I think having a roll bar is really cool. It does, it's safety and stuff like that. It's just you could have had it fold up, maybe taken apart. Like you could remove pieces of the roll bar to make it easier to deal with. The back of this roll bar could have easily folded up, rotated so that it folded inwards with everything else. Um, there's some stuff that could have been done with this roll bar that just wasn't, and that's a shame. These wheels are really big, though I do like the fact that they have some nice hubcaps in them. I do like these wheels, but I think they are just a smidge too big. Uh, Also, I think it would have been nice if they were made out of rubber. That would have been cool. That roll bar on the back is a big hindrance. The feet don't have any articulation really, and the way that the seats work as feet does lead to some issues with him standing. But they at least made it where the back of the seat becomes the bottom of the foot, so you don't have to worry about scraping any paint. Like you're not going to scrape any of your seat paint. Like remember in the alternator's Grimlock, that was his problem. All that nice painted seat covers were immediately put on the ground with it, and that kind of sucked. That would ruin his figure a little bit, in my opinion. And we don't see that with this guy. Overall, with the fact that he becomes a vehicle that a 3.75 inch figure can ride in, and my only negative is this big roll bar in the back, and he is a bit weak on his joints. There are some QC issues here, or at least some I don't know what, but he is a bit clunkier, and his transformation. We'll get into that on transformation day. But robot wise, he's a little clunky. He's made out of varying plastics, and I don't really like the feel of them. They feels like a slide back to older plastic days, in my opinion. This The head is made of the newer stuff, but the rest of this guy seems to be made of the older, lighter weight stuff that we saw in Titan's Return and things like that. Oh, and finally, I forgot to talk about his gun. His gun is the gun that he'd have on his back in buggy mode, but and you can actually put some spring-loaded missiles in there and shoot them. I just didn't take the spring-loaded missiles out of the box because I don't want to lose them. So I didn't even take them out of their little scaffolding. But my overall thoughts on this guy's robot mode, I'd give it a, a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good robot mode. It's what you want. It's not as posable as I would like, but for what it does, for the gimmick that this thing gives me, for the dream of since the first day I picked up the Transformers versus GI Joe comic and wanted one of these guys, wanted a Transformer that became a GI Joe vehicle. From that moment, I just always wondered where are you, Hasbro, in the thought department? Because this is a moneymaker, this is a gold mine, and you need to work on it. Give us a 3.75-inch ambulance. That'd be cool. That becomes a ratchet. I'd love it. I would. Give us more 3.75-inch vehicles that transform, and I'll be a happy blind prime. I tell you that right now. So thanks for watching, guys. And I know this review's a bit biased because of the amount of love I have for Transformers versus GI Joe. And if you haven't ever read that series, read it. It's really good. Starscream screws it all up for the Decepticons, which is normal. He jumps the gun, which is normal, and it's great. My only sad part is nobody on YouTube covers it. Any of you people on YouTube that cover comic books, I have two requests. One is both of the Transformers versus GI Joe series, and number two request is that you do Cable versus Deadpool, because that was such a great comic book. Made me laugh until I cried all the time. Thanks for watching, and please tune in next Prime, where I'll be doing an episode of Blindformers, teaching you how to transform this Bumblebee into his buggy mode. And I'll tell you what the name of the buggy mode is, because it totally left my head for today, and I figured I'd just cover it tomorrow. All right. Well, until next Prime. Bye bye for now.